get right outside and take a look at Seawolf Park in Galveston, where, whoa, did you see that? You can just see the waves really crashing against the pier there. This is a live picture, and it's courtesy of Saltwater Recon.
We have team coverage for you from the coast to Fort Bend County, which is also bracing for a tough morning. But first, Chief Meteorologist Dave Paul has the latest on Beryl. Dave?
Well, tropical storm conditions have reached the middle and upper Texas coast. You see Galveston here. This is looking down at Pleasure Pier and Murdoch's, and it's windy and it's rainy, and we've got gusts above tropical storm force here, and they'll continue to pick up as the storm is still a good 3, maybe 3.5 hours from making landfall. I think the final landfall is going to end up being in Matagorda County, but that's going to take it right up through the heart of southeast Texas and Houston as it moves inland. These are current sustained winds. So sustained at 30 miles an hour in Galveston, that's at Shoals Field. Sustained wind at 20 in Pearland, 20 in Angleton, sustained at 36 in Palacios. And these are gusts over the past 30 minutes. Galveston had a gust of 45. Remember, 39 mile an hour winds are tropical storm force. So they've had a tropical storm force wind there at 45. Angleton had a gust of 38. Palacios had a gust of 54 during the past half an hour. So winds really picking up. This is closer to where the center is going to be making landfall. And wind gusts like this, we're not into the actual center of the storm yet. You can see what's coming. And so for our southwest counties, Matagorda County, Brazoria County, Fort Bend County, Wharton County, you're going to bear the brunt of the inland wind, and power outages there are very, very likely as we head into the early part of the morning. On the coast, the worst now through about noon with surge and wind. You want to get to high ground. In other words, you do not want to be close to the water. Anywhere you're close to the water or in a low spot, you run the risk of being inundated by a surge that's going to be up 4 to 7 feet. In fact, this is the surge forecast. Galveston Bay Complex, we could see a rise in sea level of 4 to 6 feet. That's along the coast and into Galveston Bay, with that fetch coming across the bay, pushing water up against our western neighborhoods on Galveston Bay. Then further down the coast, closer to where we think the center is going to come in here, from Brazoria County down to the coast into Matagorda Bay, 4 to 7 foot rise in sea level is likely, with waves on top of that. So away from the coast, away from water. Tropical storm warning, that's in orange. That is a warning all the way into our northern counties. We expect wind gusts to get near tropical storm force all the way to Huntsville and beyond by the early afternoon as the storm moves inland. And then hurricane warnings for the hurricane force winds expected in our south and west coastal counties and offshore. So inland, the worst 2 a.m. till 2 p.m. Wind and flood with heavy rain and inland wind being the threat. Significant power outage threat. So charging devices while you still have power is a very good idea, and just hunker down and hide from the wind for inland areas. There's a look at the radar loop over the past 4 hours as the storm churns to the north. The center is right in here, and winds are at 80 now. They've come up from 75 to 80, so it is a strengthening Cat 1 hurricane as it moves closer to land. The center is loosely here, about 30 miles from making landfall, moving north at about 10 to 12, so about 3 hours from landfall now. We've had heavy enough rain to have one flood advisory here. Brazosport area, you've had several inches of rain, 2 to 4 inches has fallen. Still getting a heavy rain band coming across this area. So, Lake Jackson to Oyster Creek, Jones Creek, 288 and down to the coast. And down to Bryan Beach, getting flooding now on the roads. Just as we've been saying, stay home. Don't get out on the roads anywhere in southeast Texas. That's the first of many flood advisories to come overnight and through the morning. Leading edge of the rain shield now getting up into southern Harris County, Brookside Village to Hobby Airport to downtown, light rain. But once that rain arrives, the winds do begin to pick up. And so we're getting gusts 20 to 25 in here already in southern Harris County. Stronger gusts, Alvin to League City. And then over towards Sugar Land, Richmond, Rosenberg. You're getting in on that leading edge of that first real solid rain band. So rain's falling now and wind gusts will begin to pick up. And again, Fort Bend County, it looks like you may see some wind gusts to hurricane force, to near hurricane force, as all this moves inland as we go into the morning hours. Forecast update from the Hurricane Center brings in the Cat 1. And by 7 a.m., still forecast to be a 75 mile an hour hurricane moving into southern Fort Bend County. So again, Fort Bend County, Harris County likely to see hurricane force gusts. Those are gusts to 74 and above as the storm moves inland, and still a tropical storm all the way up through the Huntsville area and even north of that. And so this is going to do wind damage and power outage threat all the way across the area. Pat Calvin, we've been looking at this. So what have we got? We've got pressures that are dropping a little bit more in the last update. We've got the wind that's come up from 75 to now 80. It is a strengthening tropical system right at landfall.
Yeah, which is pretty much what we expected, right? So forecast still right on track. There's no big surprises here. And Dave, the hurricane hunters, they've been working overtime. They are in this storm non-stop. So they are up with us as well. We are keeping you safe. We're keeping you up to date. This is not the end of the world, but it is going to be a pretty strong doozy of a storm for us as we get into Monday morning. I really wanted to show the infrared satellite here. Wherever you see the black and the white in this blob, that indicates some of those biggest thunderstorms, the highest cloud tops, and we use this tool and when we look for those colors on this map to kind of diagnose how the storm is doing health-wise. And the more of that black and white that you see in here, that indicates some of those bigger cloud tops, and you can see them circling, I mean, racing around the center. So that just goes along with what Dave says. This is a strengthening Category 1 hurricane. It's on our doorstep. It's running out of real estate to use to strengthen, but hey, we've still got another 2 or 3 hours more, so we could see us maybe get up to 85 miles per hour, maybe 90 miles per hour by the time it makes landfall. Bottom line, though, we are expecting, again, hurricane force winds for a good part of the area from the city and points south, coastal flooding from storm surge, rainwater flooding, tons of that I think is unfortunately in the cards for us. We get in tomorrow morning, or rather later this morning, and then that enhanced tornado potential, especially for the areas shaded in red here. There is an active tornado watch in effect for the city of Houston, Montgomery, Liberty Chambers, Galveston, Brazoria, Matagorda, and Fort Bend counties. That goes till 10 o'clock in the morning, and it is a pronounced tornado threat as we get into tomorrow. Take Harris County, split it in half, go all the way down 288, and its areas to the east. The reason why it's these areas is because we expect the center of circulation to move along this line, and so it's areas on the dirty side, the east side of the storm, that will see the biggest tornado risk as we go through the day on Monday. So I want to back up to the winds. Let's talk about future track winds here. Just after landfall, 80, 90 mile an hour gusts, not out of the question for coastal Matagorda and Brazoria County. Look at this though, the winds really start to ramp up. Galveston, 80 mile an hour gust, not out of the question. Hobby could see 60 mile per hour gusts. The storm moves north. Harris County, be prepared. 60, 70, 75 to 80 mile per hour wind gusts, not out of the question. Not widespread and likely, but not out of the question. So I do think down trees, down power lines, that's a possibility for us as we go through Monday morning. Some of us waking up without power, unfortunately, as we get into Monday. From there, the core of the system lifts north, takes all the heavy winds with it. Cleveland, Huntsville, Conroe, the Woodlands could see 50, 60 mile per hour wind gusts. And then things out of here. As fast as it arrived, it's gone. By tomorrow afternoon, we see clearing, sunshine, and much drier conditions, but it's going to be a doozy of a morning. There's landfall coming up here probably within the next hour or so. This model is running a little bit ahead of schedule, but the idea is the same. We expect the center to move over Matagorda County, kind of move up 288 here into Harris County. Tremendous amounts of rainfall on the north end of the eye wall, the center of the storm. The center moves over Harris County. Tremendous amounts of rain wrapping around the north and west side. And then look at that, by the mid-morning hours, drying out down towards the coast. Even Harris County starting to dry things out. And yeah, we could get breaks of sunshine as we get to the afternoon. Heavy rain still in Huntsville through about midday. And then everyone starts to dry things out again as we get towards the second half of the day. So this storm is a fast mover, but the damage will be done in terms of wind and flooding. 6 to 10 inches on average in that swath, that purple swath. Locally higher amounts. They gradually drop off to the east. They drastically drop off to the west. So again, this is the dirty side of the storm, and unfortunately that is where we are. The good news though, a big recovery. So it's a weather impact alert day for tomorrow. High temperatures in the 80s. Tuesday, I think it's a bone dry day. It's much drier. We go from 100% rain chance to today to bone dry weather as we get into Tuesday. Good for recovery, but the bad news here is that if we end up losing power, we've got a hot stretch coming up with high temperatures in the mid-90s, overnight temperatures upper 70s to around 80 degrees. So these are things that we got to keep in mind as we look ahead to the next few days. Hopefully we can get through this storm with just a few issues and not widespread problems, but right now it is looking like we're going to see widespread power outages and some flooding to deal with over the next few hours. Guys?
Yeah, Pat, I think you're right on with the power outage threat. I really think that's the biggest issue that we are facing inland. And one thing that I am noticing is that the wind gusts down on the coast that we're getting right now, and these are actual measurements, 45-mile-an-hour gust in Galveston, 54-mile-an-hour gust in Palacios. That's just about what the models that you've been showing all evening were suggesting would be happening around 12:31. And so that's beginning to verify, and so that means we could see those hurricane force gusts into Harris County, Fort Bend County as we head into the middle of the morning. Matt Doherty has been down in Galveston all evening long. He's got his anemometer down there. He's standing out in the rain. Matt, where are you? What are the winds doing? What are you seeing in Galveston?
Okay, so we're a few blocks away from the San Luis Hotel. We're here on the seawall right now, and you can tell that these severe weather conditions have started to pick up now. You know, we're starting to be pelted by some of this rain, and those wind gusts that you're talking about, David, they're certainly being felt here. You know, it's that rain that, you know, when it picks up some speed and hits you, it starts to sting. Well, I'm in a lucky position because I've got my back to the wind. Ryan Phillips, our photojournalist, isn't so lucky. He's getting hit right in the face. So I'm going to step out of the way, and you can get a look at what the water is doing right now, and you can see it's just it's angry tonight, like you described it earlier, David, and it seems like that water and the tide is coming up. I think you said earlier that the storm surge was going to be 5 foot plus here where we are on the seawall. I believe the seawall is built up to be 15 feet. Correct me if I'm wrong. So I don't believe that we're going to ever have a point where we're going to see any of those waves crashing over the top of the seawall where we are right now. But certainly these severe weather conditions are progressing as this storm gets closer to we are right now.
Yeah, the seawall doing its job. I believe it goes to 18 feet. You will see some waves crashing against it a little later on this morning. Are you seeing anybody out? What's the traffic light like? Are people heeding the warning and staying home?
They are. Everybody's behaving themselves. Everybody's doing good tonight. You know, we don't see anybody out here on the seawall whatsoever. The only vehicles that we're seeing on the roadways passing by are emergency vehicles. So it does seem like everybody's decided to pack it up and go home early tonight and just watch all of this on Channel 11.
That's the best thing to do by far. Stay home and stay safe. You stay safe down there in Galveston. Now, we've been talking about Fort Bend County for an inland wind threat. We've already been getting wind gusts to 30 miles an hour in Sugar Land. Had a gust of 31 a little bit ago. Jeremy Rogowski is monitoring the situation in Fort Bend County. Jeremy, I think you got a few hours to go before the winds really begin to pick up. But look, where you're standing, you could see hurricane force gusts as we head into 4, 5, 6 o'clock this morning.
Yeah, Dave, and we've been out here since about 4 this afternoon. We had a couple of those outer bands bring some pretty sizable downpours. Right now, though, it's just a slow and steady rain, and the winds are not much to speak of again right now. We're in one of the outdoor dining areas. You could see, as photographer John Gibson pans over, some of the precautions some of these restaurants are taking, putting their chairs and tables along the wall in preparation for those sustained tropical storm force winds that you've been talking about, and potentially even higher. But again, right now, things are calm, relatively speaking. Power's still on, as you can see. And the rain really just began about a half an hour ago. Obviously, we expect that to increase in intensity, David.
Yeah, you're just on the edge of the first rain band that's really tightly associated with the core circulation. And just what I'm looking at, Jeremy, I don't know if you can see or not, but we've had a gust to 45 in Galveston in the past 30 minutes, had a gust to about 40 in Angleton, had a gust to 54 in Palacios. All of that basically due south of where you're standing in Sugar Land. And we're going to get gusts at least to 50 and above in Sugar Land as we head toward the early morning hours. And I think you're going to be seeing a lot more power outages. I put it to Matt the same way. What are you seeing? It looks like everybody's behaving, staying inside, and just watching this on Channel 11 safely tucked into their homes.
Yeah, we're in the middle of, Sugar Land Town Square, and for the most part, it's a ghost town. Occasionally, you may see a vehicle stroll by. We've seen a couple of Sugar Land police vehicles come by. But certainly nobody's out and about. They have been heeding the warnings, and that is a very good thing. Fort Bend County Judge KP George suggested that earlier. You all have been echoing that. After 10 o'clock, things have really calmed down. And that's important because the only safe place to be right now is hunkered down, somewhere safe in your home. A couple of hotels here. Obviously, we've seen some foot traffic and whatnot, but again, pretty much a ghost town, as you would expect in the wee hours of Sunday morning here. So we're going to stay out here and keep monitoring the situation. But right now, we haven't seen the real intense stuff that Beryl is going to bring here in the next hour or two, David.
Yeah, and it is coming, and it is going to be intense right where you're standing there in Sugar Land in Fort Bend County. Jeremy Rogowski, live in Sugar Land. Thank you for the report. Cheryl, Mia, I'll send it back to you two.
All right, thanks, guys. A great perspective there, and I'm so glad to see that people are staying home, it appears.
Yes, and appreciate both Jeremy and Matt bringing us, the outlook from their vantage point. So you don't have to be out there. Let us show you what it's going to look like. You don't need to leave your homes tonight or this morning, rather. From summer school to the Harris County court system, Metro service, and trash pickup as well. There are plenty of closures and cancellations today on Monday due to the storm. We have them all for you listed on our website, KHOU.com, and on our KHOU 11 app.
Yeah, whether this is your first hurricane or you've been through this before, we know that these weather events can be stressful. So if you need to talk to someone, you can call or text the Disaster Distress Helpline at your number right there on your screen, 1-800-985-5990. It's free, open 24/7, and has Spanish-speaking counselors on hand for you. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe out there and stay tuned so you can stay informed.
And you can look up updates on air throughout the morning. Check them out, and we'll have the latest online at KHOU.com. You can also receive alerts straight to your phone by simply scanning the QR code right there on your screen to download our KHOU 11 app.
In the meantime, one more live look outside, courtesy of Saltwater Recon. This is the Seawolf Park in Galveston. Again, look at those waves crashing there ashore. We'll be back with another update for you right here at 2 a.m. See you then.